Upbuilding Discourses is a book by Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard published in 1843. Kierkegaard continues his discussion of the difference between externalities and inwardness in the discourses, but moves from the inwardness of faith to that of love. It starts with these biblical verses. But the end of all things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man hath received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold grace of God. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of God. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which God giveth. Kierkegaard is saying that everything is always changing in the external world, but in the inner spiritual world there is one thing that never changes. He says, what is it that is never changed, even if all else changes? It is love. And only this is love which never becomes something else. This which gives everything and because of this demands nothing. This which demands nothing and therefore has nothing to lose. This which blesses and blesses when it is cursed. This which loves its neighbor, but whose enemy is also his neighbor. This which leaves vengeance to the Lord, because it comforts him to believe that the Lord is even more merciful than he himself is. Love is dependent on how a person sees, and when the individual sees with love, that individual can see away sin in himself as well as the sin of the whole world. Kierkegaard says, love shall cover a multitude of sins. Love is blind, says an old proverb, but it does not thereby mean that this is an imperfection in the lover, or that he was born blind. For not until love won a place in his soul did he become blind, and then, as love triumphed more and more within him, he became more and more blind. Or did love become more imperfect when, after having first deceived itself by not wishing to see what it actually saw, at last it did not even see it anymore? Or who concealed it best, he who knew that he had forgotten something, or he who had even forgotten this? To the pure, all things are pure is an old saying which does not indicate an imperfection in the pure that might gradually disappear. On the contrary, the more perfect he becomes, the purer everything seems to him. It depends then not only on what a man sees, but what a man sees depends on how he sees it. What is in a man then decides what he discovers and what he conceals. When the lust of sin dwells in the heart, then the eye discovers the multitude of sins and makes them even more numerous. For the eye is the light of the body, but if the light that is in a man be darkness, then how great is that darkness? When the apprehension of sin dwells in the heart, then the ear discovers the variety of sin and makes it even more manifold. And how is such a man helped by being blind? For a rascal casts his eyes down and listens with his rascally ears. When love dwells in the heart, then the eye closes and does not cover the manifest acts of sin, even less those that are concealed. He also says, when hate dwells in the heart, then sin lies at a man's door, and its manifold desires exist in him. But when love dwells in the heart, then sin flees far away, and he sees it no more. When disputes, malice, wrath, quarrels, dissensions, factions fill the heart, does one then need to go far in order to discover the multitudinous of sin? Or does a man need to live very long to produce these outside of himself? But when joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, and temperance dwell in the heart, what wonder then that a man, even if he were surrounded by a multitude of sins, remains an alien, a stranger, who understands only a very little about the customs of the country, even if these were explained to him? Would not this, then, be a covering of the multitude of sins? He concludes by drawing attention to two opposite powers. One is the power in sin that has the perseverance to consume every better feeling a man has, and the other is a heavenly power that starves the multiplicity of sin out of a person.